Welcome to the MS-Perspektive Podcast, Perspective with a K as I'm German. I'm Nele von Horsten, MS patient, patient advocate and author. I'm bringing you interviews, inspiration and information about living with multiple sclerosis and show you ways how you can positively influence the disease and make the best out of your diagnosis. On ms-perspektive.com you will find the show notes, 11 free tips as a PDF and lots of other information. And now the show begins. Welcome to episode number 100, and it's such a pleasure to have you, Tjalf, again on the show for the topic, the future of MS care. Can digital twins predict your disease progression?
Yeah, thank you, Nele. It's really great to be your guest in number 100. Yeah, and I think a great compliment to you. Number 100 is really special. And and you're doing both. Yeah, you're doing English, you're doing German, and I'm still very confused about the number of podcasts and looking at social media. So what is around? No, it's really a pleasure to have now number 100 about future of MS care.
Yes, thank you very much. So, Tjalf, for everybody who doesn't know you, you are my MS-ologist since 2008, and you are one of the most innovative MS-ologists in the field, I would think. And the digital twin is a project you are following for quite a while. So what inspired you to develop that concept for MS patients, and how does it work?
I think in MS care, we have several deficits. One deficit is that if you are diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, the monitoring workup, so how you are managed, how the procedures are following, I think it could be optimized. Yeah, and that's due to the fact that on the one side, a lot of data are not collected, which should be collected. That's one. That's one problem, and the other problem is that even if you collect the data, that the whole procedure, the whole workup, or what we call the patient journey, is not clear to all the patients. So we have a problem from the data perspective. Now, data are very important, especially if you would like to optimize, if you would like to predict. So what you have already mentioned. If you have very limited data, then it's very difficult to analyze the actual situation and to look into the future. On the other side, we have a problem with patient journey, with organization, administration, and so on. And big problem is that patients usually think that their neurologist is doing everything right, but in reality, we have to recognize that a lot of processes are not optimal for the patients. MRIs are not done yearly. Other tests are not done as they should be. So treatment is not escalated as it should be. And this procedural way is the second part. And putting now data and this patient's journey component together, there we are ending up with the concept of the digital twin.
Okay, so how is a digital twin different from the traditional disease monitoring and prediction tools that we had in the past?
Yeah, the digital twin tries to, on the one side, to really give a very detailed and an individual patient journey to the individual patient. So so this has to be done in 3 months' time. This has to be repeated every year, and so on. So you have, I think, a quite nice how we call it digital clinical pathway. On the other side, this personalized digital clinical pathway allow you that data collected while you are managed along these pathways, that this data are available. And the different concept with other documentation, for example, with the documentation registry, is that we try to collect the raw data. Yeah, because if you have the registry data, of course, it's nice to have registry data, but in principle, the quality and the information which is available from analysis of this data, I think it's limited. And that's why concept is really to have an individual pathway. The data collected while you are on this pathways should have, should be really the raw data, and then you have data quality, data density in conjunction with the optimal frequency to collect this data. And that is the idea which we have with the MS Digital Twin.
Okay. So AI is in everybody's mouth. Can you explain in simple terms how AI and big data play maybe a role in creating the digital twin?
Probably the best way would be to combine the AI story with the digital twin story, which is done in industry. Yeah, and of course we have to do with one of the most important things in our life. That's health and disease. But if you are moving to other fields, for example, of industry, for example, if you build a car, which I think it's not so important as your health, but especially in Germany, building cars is very important for a lot of people. But if you build a car, then during the whole process, all information is collected. Yeah, so you can imagine. So if you have a car, you need pieces from everywhere. So of course you collect the exact piece which is introduced. You collect, of course, the location where the car is built or where these pieces are put together. You know about the persons involved in it. So you have a lot of data on the meta process, and this data, so you have this data. This data can be used later on if you realize, okay, this car built on Monday is usually not working well. So that it has all the time. It has to be sent up to repair or into the garage and things like that. Then I think it's using this data and using a lot of data. It's possible to look at the procedures and to say, okay, this piece may probably be the problem, or this procedure is probably the time is not sufficient to introduce this piece in the right way. And I think this is a very nice example of how a process which ends up with a product like a car can be optimized and can be, especially now with instruments which can analyze a lot of data and different data. So we have not only probably the time which is needed to build the car, but we have pieces. We have probably data when the car is tested. So the car is usually tested before leaving the factory. So you have this data available. It's like in medicine. So we don't have MRI. We have lab. We have clinical data. We have functional data, and so on. So we have multimodal data, and multimodal data is very difficult to be put together in analysis. Just imagine, So if you have data, if you have quantitative data in one dimension, I think we human beings we can analyze it. But if you have data from different sources, we are lost. And if these are parameters beyond the number of 5, I think we are even more lost. And that's why you need technology and analytical tools which allow you to have all this complex data to be analyzed. And then it depends a little bit. So if you have a lot of data, then probably you don't need particular AI, because then we have we have analytical technology. We call it machine learning, which ML, which enables there. The advantages of AI that you don't need the data quantity and data density to draw this to get your analytical results, and that depends a little bit. But I think that are details. At the end, it means that you have to have tools which are able to analyze multimodal data, so data from different sources, and put this into context. And there you have then to decide which technology or which analytical tool is the best. But I think that if you have the data, it's not a problem. Then you can select the right data analytical tool to get the right results out of it.
Great. So, how good could the digital twin in the future help to predict the disease progression and help neurologists to adjust treatments earlier? For example, when people are not with an MS neurologist, but with a, let's say, normal neurologist who is taking care of all different kinds of neurological diseases.
Yeah, I think at the end it depends really on the data and data which are collected. And I think if we make the data collection independent of the neurologist involved in it, then I think it's much easier. And for example, if you have the MRI and the MRI is, for example, reported not in full detail, or the quality of the MRI is not sufficient, then of course the conclusions we can get out of the MRI are very limited. Yeah? So if you have, for example, the whole MRI data, the raw MRI data available, then of course you can see probably factors or probably parameters in the MRI which are not yet known. Yeah, and that's the nice thing about AI and other technological tools, that even if you don't know what are the parameters you're looking for, we call it unsupervised. So we don't have an idea. So we can just look at the data and we can analyze. So what is an intelligent tool telling you about the different groups of patients? Just one example. So, Hernan Inuyosa, which is your student classmate in the master course of the Dresden International University, very active my group as well. So he uses, for example, data, modular data of the digital twin, looking at walking function of patients. And so a lot of different parameters are collected. Usually, if I look at patients, of course, I have my visual interpretation, but I cannot tell you. So what are the factors which are included there? But in our gait analysis, we have a lot of parameters which are included into this. And then you can use the tools, and then you can do a so-called clustering. So you can look for different groups which are defined by the algorithms. Yeah. And so telling you, okay, this is separate, this is separate, this is separate. And you can look what are the different groups like, and do you have to treat the groups in a different way? Is it predictive that you belong to this group or to this group? Yeah, and so you take an amount of data, which of course has to be collected. That I think is a challenge we have to fight for, and yeah, in a format which can then be analyzed, and then you can use this data to, for example, to look for clusters, also to define groups. Yeah. So could be in treatment, could be non-responders, responders, and so on. Yeah, and of course, then for a group, you could say, so that is, for example, predictive that you're not responding to treatment and so on. Yeah, so that is the idea, but for this purpose, of course, and that is a significant challenge in our system. We need, of course, this type of data, because if this data are not collected, then we have a problem.
Yeah, quality of input relates to quality of output, of course.
Of course, you could think about. So there are some studies, that you can use your social media post about to identify whether you are a treatment responder or not. I know you're very active in this field as well, but I think you can understand that I don't believe that your posts on social media are really indicative and should be used to predict whether you're a treatment responder or where monitoring is going there. I think there is, of course, possibility that all different types of data could be included. But first of all, I think what we need is really to create a system where high quality raw data are collected.
Yes, makes totally sense. So in the future, could it also help in non-medical aspects like lifestyle adjustments and rehabilitation strategies, giving me maybe advice to eat healthier or exercise more?
Of course, we think that the digital twin can serve as a platform, because our problem is that we have now, for every intervention and for every data collection, we have an own system, and I think we need something which is really a platform where, for example, all interventions and all management processes are put together. Yeah, and that is another thing. I believe that we have to go more into a hybrid management. So of course, I think that still physicians will be involved, but other stuff could be, for example, done by questionnaires or chatbots. So we will have face-to-face patient and physicians visits, but on the other side, I could imagine very well that telemedicine play a significant role. But this will be only possible in the right way if you have a platform where on the one side you have your data from the face-to-face visit, but then the telemedicine could be done as well. And of course, if you have your homework before patient-physician consultation will take place, then it's very important that this data are collected and are available and can be analyzed. So I think to move forward, we need not only data collection, we need not only this digital pathways, but we need something where data could be exchanged and where data could be collected, where everything could be integrated, and that is very relevant. So we cannot separate. We should not separate MS from other diseases, because we know very well that for example, if you have a diabetes, if you have other risk factors, that it has a negative impact on MS as well, and that's why you had the very nice podcast with Gavin. Yeah, so the holistic MS management means that you have to bring everything together, and we have to avoid only to concentrate on highest specialized immunotherapy. Yeah, I think our aim should be really to put all the stuff together, and that means, of course, immunotherapy, but all the non-MS related issues as well. And I think that therefore we need a tool to integrate this and to help the people, because otherwise it's a complex issue. Yeah. So if we are not dealing with one dimension, so if we have different dimensions like lifestyle and so on, it's getting difficult. And if it's getting difficult, I think modern technology could help us to dissect a little bit and to do, for example, some education, some communication automatically. But of course, then if you have questions and if the chatbot is not efficient enough, then then you can discuss it with your doctor. But I think we need this hybrid system, that on the one side, I don't have to tell all the time the same more general items. So I think that I have to use my time, or we have to use our time together more in a quality time idea. That means should tell you general places. Yeah. So we should discuss the personalized management approach, because the general places you can read, or some other data can present you this general statements, and that's why we need, I think, this mixture, and because otherwise we are lost, especially now in a more complex world.
Yes. Yeah. And people can listen to my podcast, for example, to know how to behave.
Very good. And then,
healthy.
Of course, the transfer from the content of your podcast into the individual approach, that is, of course, something which should be done with your treating physician. Yeah. But it's very good to have the content presented there, because if I have to start from point zero, I'm lost. Yeah. And we cannot use the limited time to really solve the problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I was finally diagnosed in 2004, I remember that I gave a commitment to myself to do whatever it takes to leave no space for MS as much as possible. And of course, that includes a lot of being healthy in whatever ways.
Oh, absolutely. But if MS should not be the main argument, you need something which helps you, which assists you to manage multiple sclerosis. We know very well in the modern world, and we are very happy that we don't have a lot of challenges anymore we had 200 years ago, because we have now electricity, we have now this technology available, and so on. Yeah, and that's why having this with MS, I think it's very important to use these tools and to integrate these tools, which are already available in your general life. And when I tell you that building a car, you have your digital twin, but now dealing with a complex disease, you don't have a digital twin. You are still collecting information using fax machines and things like that. Yeah. So or we have this culture of physicians' letters, where the information which is collected and which is available is very limited. I think we have to change it. Yeah, because we can learn from other disciplines, and especially in health, I think modern technology communication should be available.
So, Tjalf, how close are we to using the digital twins in everyday MS care outside of Dresden, Germany, and what challenges still need to be addressed before they can be fully integrated into clinical practice?
Yeah, so the digital twin, I think, is a vision, and even in Dresden, I think it's that we have a prospective working system which collects the data and so on. I think the challenge is that, of course, the infrastructure which is necessary, it's not easy going. And at the end, of course, you understand that it's, of course, linked to regulatory challenges as well. Yeah, because if we have it in that way, especially what you mentioned, that it can predict progression, it's really a medical product. Yeah, and all this regulation which is behind it's not nice. That's why what we do at the moment, we are experimenting. We have data collections, for example, for MRI, which is already quite good, and we can use this to simulate or to integrate stuff like this. We can, of course, discuss with patients, because digital pathways, very well that it has to be, of course, developed in a way that patients are happy with this. Other data collections, so you are very supportive. I know that's why what different types of data are collected. We are experimenting there, and I have to say that I cannot say finally which data should be collected. Yeah, of course, we have an approach in our center that at the moment we try to collect a lot of data, but I don't know. I don't think that the future should be that more and more data should be collected to make things more complex. I think, of course, we work with a lot of different data, but we work with this data, or we try to collect this data because we would like to know what are the necessary data. Because at the end, of course, we would like to reduce, and we would like to say, okay, no, speech, very good. Yeah, so we keep it. Jumping, yeah, probably doesn't tell us. So jumping, we will not include, just as an example. Yeah, so it could not be that the patient is generating more data, but we have now to do I think pilot data collection, understand how data could be collected. So we know very well that there are some parameters which will be part of the digital twin, which is, of course, the MRI, yeah, and lab tests and so on. But on the other side, I think the challenge will then be, so what will be the final stuff? And of course, the big problem is that research is going on, and of course we will have it. It will have to be a flexible system. Yeah, just imagine. Yeah, so we had in the recent years we had the transfer of neurofilament in clinical practice. Now that neurofilaments are now covered by the German health insurances, that means, of course, that neurofilaments can be measured, and of course, such a parameter should be included into the digital twin as well, and that gives you an estimate that a digital twin is not like a car which is built and then this car stays the same for the next 20 years, but it's of course a quite living system, and which is again then a challenge from the regulatory point of view, because regulation likes it very much to have a product and this product is approved and then you don't change the product anymore. And that's why I think we have to fight for this idea now of the MS digital twin, which means, of course, a patient-centric tool, that the patient is in charge, that the patient has really the chance, that's very important for me, to see how good the management is. Quality manage because if you don't have an MRI, then of course the management is very limited. But of course the data and the analysis you can take are very limited as well. Yeah, and that's why we have to encourage patients and patients. If you are talking about that data have to be collected, I think are very open. And that is very that I think is very, very important. An example of how we shouldn't do it is, for example, now the initiative in Germany. That we have now the electronic health record, the EPA, available for patients. But that is, for example, a document where you have a number of different PDFs inside, and a PDF, it's nothing quantitative. It's very difficult to get the information out of it. You have to develop algorithms to get data out of PDFs. Although most of the data or most of the PDFs are generated from quantitative data, and that's why we have to change the thinking that not the interpretation of this data should be collected, but the data itself, because then modern algorithms can help you with the interpretation. We don't need text documents and we don't need this type of data. I hope that we can change it, that instead of a referral letter, that in the digital twin you have a dashboard where you have a nice infographic where you can see, like in a car building process, there you have not a letter which is sent to you, so how the car building is like, but you have a beautiful You have beautiful 10 screens around you, and you see how the processes are working, traffic light system. So they are green in this process, green in this process. They are yellow in this process. So we have to be careful, improve situation. Yeah. And this will be the future. And, if you produce a car, as I have mentioned, never would send you a letter about that. The process is not adequate, and the cars do not have the quality which is there. You have it on a dashboard.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you see neurologists and patients adopting this tool? Do you expect skepticism, or do you think they will embrace it?
We put a lot of power to the patients, because we have realized that some neurologists are getting better and better, and there we have really top quality available. But we realize that we have a number of neurologists as well, where there is no improvement curve there, and the big problem is that even if you have new developments, even if you do a lot of education, so they are not joining you, and you cannot get them, and that's why I think the final way is really at the end to give tools to patients that they can realize whether it's really the neurologist and the quality they would like to have or not. And that's why at the end, patients should be responsible. And most patients, they think if they are with a neurologist that everything is top. But unfortunately, that's not the case. It's like if you book a hotel, so it's not every hotel is not even offering basic service, and that's why you have something like TripAdvisor or other portals, or you have checklists there to see there, and probably we need something in the same way in medicine as well.
Yeah, to see upfront if the hotel is clean. Hotel room.
Yeah, and
yes,
if the services are offered, you pay for, and you are expecting. I think that's very important. And on the other side, of course, with such a system, we put pressure to neurologists. But on the other side, I think that is the only way. We can do. And then I, as a patient, I have to decide whether what I would like to have, but I should have the tools to make this decision.
Absolutely. So just thinking a little bit to another side, how might the digital twin help to contribute faster and more personalized drug development for MS? Do you thought about that topic?
Yeah, of course. I think we have talked about a lot of regular care, how especially the digital twin can reduce face-to-face visits, can integrate telemedicine into it and make it there. But on the other side, if you have more and high qualitative data, of course you can use this data to a significant extent to develop new drugs. And just imagine if you put patients in a clinical trial at the moment, then you usually have inclusion criteria. The typical inclusion criteria, which is for a relapsing MS drug, for potential new relapsing MS drug, is that the patient has to have a relapse in the past year. But usually you don't have data. As you put the patient in the trial, and then a very detailed documentation starts, so standardized MRI starts, and so on. But usually, that's a big problem in the clinical trial. You only know anecdotal. So what happened before the patient entered in the clinical trial? So of course you do history, and then you document the relapses and so on. But usually, for example, the MRIs are not available. what happened before the trial. And if you have, of course, the standard of a digital twin, then you could run intelligent trials. You could look, for example, for patients, with this criterion, with this criterion, with this criterion. You can be much more personalized. You know the unmet needs, and you can integrate this unmet needs, for example, in the inclusion criteria. You could, for example, say, so for this drug, probably we need patients with a significant brain atrophy in MRI, and then you can select them, or you can look in the in your database and you can say, okay, we know what is the frequency of this factor. Probably we can simulate this, and that's why having this data. Of course, it will be very important to analyze, of course, existing drugs, but on the other side, of course, it will be very helpful to look for new drugs and bring these new drugs to market. It will be quite easier because the target patient group could be more easily identified. And that's why I think it's this data documentation and collaboration, of course, with industry that could help a lot. And there are tools which make even the digital twin more attractive. So if you had a project, for example, together with several centers to analyze a research question, for example, what is the MRI telling you about the development of cognition in the long term? Then what was the current strategy was to collect all the data from the different centers, so MRIs and cognitive tests, and then send the data to a central database and then to analyze this data there. And that is, of course, especially if you are working then with US centers, it's of course not easy because you have this challenge of the different data security guidelines and so on. But if you have digital twins, so standardized data from each patient, you could use, for example, federated learning strategies. That means that you don't have to send the data to a central database, but the algorithm analyzing the data will come to you looking at the data. Of course, the algorithm gets the analysis, but it's, of course, not linked to individual patients. That's why data security and data safety is not a problem. And then this algorithm is moving from center to center, collecting this information. And so if you have high quality information, then even now, we don't have to have any more a central database, but you use the algorithm coming to you, and we have already now several projects where we are using such an approach, and it's usually very, very positive that where you need a lot of time to get approval from data security and from ethics. But if you go in this way, because the individual patient rights are very well maintained, and because the algorithm just looks at the data and does not get individual personal information from it. It's a very quick process, and it's especially regarding saving individual patient rights and data. I think it's a good approach, but again, you need quite good data, and it's not a good approach, I think, to run federated learning analysis with PDF documents.
Yes.
That's, for example, an approach. For example, we are collaborating with the with Stanford and Yale, so with two prestigious universities in US, and probably without such an approach, collaboration would not be possible, especially looking at the different data security background.
Yeah. So in 5 to 10 years, how do you envision a neurologist using the digital twin, and of course a patient as well, in a routine patient consultation?
I hope that the digital twin will allow that we will have processes which will be completely done by the digital twin, whole administration and some types of data collection, that we can use our time more detailed, and we will integrate probably Nele's podcast into the digital twin to get the training there in this respect. Yeah. But on the other side, we understand when there are questions individual linked to a content that this could be answered. I hope that using this platform, we can improve management of MS by improving the procedural part and the data part. And I think if we have this parameters, I think it will be then possible what you mentioned, to predict and to allow systems to identify whether the procedures are right or whether the procedure should be changed.
Okay, great. So, what should MS patients and neurologists expect next when it comes to digital twin development? What would be the next steps?
Of course, we are moving from step to step, and and hopefully the digital twin will be more visible and will not be just a concept to talk about. On the other side, I think it's very important to have this concept view as well, to really understand, and that's why the co-creation with patients is very important. So what are the problems, and what are the wishes? What are the priority lists of items which should be integrated? At the moment, we realize that a lot of digital stuff, I think in my view, it's very simple and it doesn't mean an improvement. So if you're looking for electronic prescription or for electronic sick leave certificates, for me, it's not really what I understand with innovation. So it's just making things digital, but it's not really moving into a new world. And that's why I think we have now to use the power which is there to integrate it really in care. Of course, we have very nice tools. For example, if you would like to have an appointment with your doctor again, but that is of course a component which should be integrated. But at the end, I think to have a full system which is preparing you, which is accompanying you during your patient journey, and then detecting when a personal consultation is necessary, how you can get data, communication, education for your specific purpose. I think that there we need new technology, new ideas, and that will be hopefully the digital twin.
Yes. Yeah, hopefully. So how can patients and CMS community contribute to making digital twin technology a reality? Is there any chance as of now?
Yeah, so we have of course a plan how we can roll it out, how modular we can go for it. So we believe that it's not the best approach to try to develop a perfect MS digital twin and then to take probably 20 years and then probably it's already out-fashioned. So that's why I think we will hope to have a pilot which is really visible as digital twin in a short time. And then of course we will try, next step will be that we have some centers which have the similar philosophy as we have, and then to check it whether it will work out of Dresden, whether it will work out of Germany, and to go the step. I think what would be good from the patient perspective is really to help us. Of course, we have to do a lot of work in communication, in understanding, in really understanding patient needs, and that are processes which are parallel in addition to the to the strategy to develop such a tool. And there, of course, we need all the help and all the co-creation which would be possible. We have already, our surveys, or we know when we ask patients to come for workshops. That's very important that we have this idea, because such systems like CMS Digital Twin, they have to be developed by a co-creation. Otherwise, such a system really needs all partners in the patient journey, involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Patients should be at the table.
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's for patients. And, my vision, you asked me what will be my vision. The vision will be a little bit like, and my favorite cartoon on this. I would like to sit in the airplane, being the co-pilot of the pilot patient. We have a lot of data, like in the air, flying an airplane. It's a challenge. That's why you need a lot of sensors and a lot of information. But they are together to guide and to use this data to have really an optimal flight and a safe flight, and the best what we can do to bring you from point A to point B together, available with data and with modern technology, and to integrate it on the other side. So we have tools, we have the data, we have the cockpit information available. But if you have a problem we cannot solve with this data, we speak to each other. So pilot and co-pilot, they are still communicating, because some things, it's not technology, it's really it has to be solved by personal communication. And that's why this example is very nice. So to have a lot of technology on the other side, but to have the personal as well. And at the end, it's really in that way that we try to discuss data, where of course we have still a little bit more experience, but that has to change. And we have, of course, to bring this data and this procedures and this information we have to bring to patients, and and then probably we can have a safe and successful flight together.
Yes, and maybe I'm allowed to bring that cartoon to the post. It's a lovely one from Phil Hopper.
And I think it's a very good thing in the understanding of this.
Yeah. So where can listeners follow your research? And
we are quite active on social media as well, and so on, and of course we have now publications coming down. But of course, I think following Nele's podcast is not the worst decision if you would like to be updated, especially there are different initiatives, and we are collaborating there with other partners, and it's very good to have this perspectives here in your podcast from the different way. And we are, of course, inspired from other ideas. So Gavin and that's why it's very nice to have the colleagues, because it's inspiring quite a lot. And now, of course, we try to have this quite technical challenge, but of course that's very much linked to other challenges and to other ideas. And that's why I'm very grateful to have a community where I'm inspired and where I get my ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where we can develop solutions. That is at the end the most crucial thing.
Yeah. Tjalf, thank you very much. It was a pleasure again. Let's see what we are talking about in episode number 150. But I have to do still some work until we can get to number 150.
But for me, it's just a pleasure, to follow even because that are, of course, other personalities as well than in the German podcast, and of course international. It's like our international master course with the DIU. It's of course other style, and this international perspective is very important and gives you a lot of more oversight on interesting stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And
congratulations, and
see you next time.
The next 50.
Yes, thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
I hope you enjoyed the interview and learned something new and really understood that innovation can bring us to a better and personalized treatment for people like us living with multiple sclerosis. By the way, next time I will be talking to another very innovative doctor about shared decision-making and AI, so artificial intelligence, making the best decisions for MS together with Dr. Sven Jungmann. And Sven is a physician, a managing director, company founder, author, consultant, and speaker. And this will be another very interesting podcast episode. So please tune in. Please rate the podcast wherever you are listening to it, and let others know that it is existing, others who might be interested in the content. And of course, as always, stay as healthy and active as possible, and see you next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening today. I hope you found it helpful. You may also be interested in the previously published episodes and posts, which you can find at ms-perspektive.com/podcast. Perspective with a K. You can also get a free PDF with 11 tips for your positive impact on MS at ms-perspektive.com/newsletter. If you'd like to get in touch, you can reach me at nele@ms-perspektive.com or on social media. See you next time.